Perfect. Ready to start. So thank you about that.
Perfect.
Ready. We're ready to start.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth session of our advocacy program, engaging policymakers and influencers with Mandy Sanghera OBE, award-winning philanthropist and international advocate. It's a truly honor for being here with Mandy, and I'm going to share a bit of her bio as well. She's a distinguished winning philanthropist and international advocate, often hailed as a driving force for change across the globe. A human rights activist, a motivational speaker, and a TEDx speaker, Mandy has joined extensively inspiring and empowering individuals in various countries. With more than 30 years of expertise in international development, Mandy has dedicated her career to fostering innovation, forging strategic alliances, and championing key issues such as human rights, gender equality, accountability, migration, and social justice on a global scale. Her impactful work has touched the lives of hundreds, and through her active presence on social media and numerous television appearances and speaking events, she now reaches thousands more. Mandy has addressed the U.S. House of Representatives 3 times and frequently participates in the World Economic Forum, using these influential platforms to shed light on pressing global issues affecting women, children, and refugees. Notably, she has recently provided support to refugees from Ukraine, Sudan, Syria, and Iraq, and collaborated with a group of women activists to help evacuate over 400 Afghan refugees. She has led initiatives aimed at enhancing women's political engagement in local governments and driving economic empowerment across the globe. Her work on gender mainstreaming and efforts to eradicate violence against women and children have fostered cross-regional collaboration in programming. She provides insight to government officials, local authorities, and service providers on issues related to disability, equality, inclusion, harmful practices, and gender rights. Mandy is committed to inspiring the next generation to engage with AI, having hosted hackathons that attracted representatives from over 140 countries, focused on leveraging AI for social good. Recently, she participated in the Games for Change Summit in India and has encouraged organizations and individuals to explore NFTs. Last year, she utilized artwork from Afghan refugees to raise funds for their support. She is a recognized global ambassador for ethics in AI and technology. Mandy, thank you very much for being here and joining us at the Girls Human Rights Hub community. I'm pretty sure that all our participants who are right now part of the program, but also those that will get to see this lecture recorded on our website, will definitely gain a lot of insights and expertise from you. Thank you for joining us for this. We're looking forward to this session. For participants, please drop in the questions. You know the drill. On this session, I would like to share that after we finish the session and lecture from Mandy, we will focus and do an exercise on drafting a lobbying letter. Mandy, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm Mandy Sanghera. And today I really want us to think about how do we go about engaging with people in power, policy makers, politicians, advocates, and campaigners. So I really want us to think about causes that we're interested in. And actually, for me, the next thing is around finding a cause yeah, you can go to the next slide. It's about thinking about the causes that you're really interested in. So it could be gender-based violence, climate, human rights, disability, homelessness. It could be anything that you're interested in. And there's so many causes. So what I always say to young people, especially people starting out in their career, find a cause that actually really aligns with your values, something that actually really gets you excited and passionate about making a change. Sometimes I meet people and what they want to do is they get involved because it's a trendy topic and it's the one that's actually on social media today. And sometimes we just do that because we're seeing it all over social media, but actually it's not the one that actually stirs the passion in us. It's not the cause that we're really interested in. So to me, I started on gender-based violence and forced marriages, and violence against women is where I started over 35 years ago. And actually, over the years, things have really changed for me, where I've got involved in refugees' rights and in tackling biases. Dealing with people with disabilities is also something that I've done. So for me, some of these things are really interlinked, and they're really important to find the cause that you're passionate about and really looking at how can I make a difference? what is it that makes me excited? Why is it that I get out of bed every morning and I really want to do that? So maybe on a sheet of paper, or if you want to on your phone, scribble some notes. So the next slide, I want us to think about our network, think about our social capital, really think about how can I engage with other people. So if you were to draw 4 or 5 circles, sort of interlinking, and start like that, but you don't need to put any words in, just keep blank circles for a moment. And I really want us to think about your networks, because for me, my network is my net worth, and it's given me opportunities, it's given me things, access to people that I could never have dreamed of. So for me, I'm thinking about myself, Mandy Sanghera here in the front on the pale blue. And then when I think about my close contacts, I'm thinking about my family, I'm talking about my best friend, partner, and people around me who I really, really trust, and who are the people that actually, if I needed something and I needed to start a business or I wanted to do something, who was in my inner circle. So think about people in your networks around you who you trust the best. So the second, the sort of green, lime green for me is thinking about my next tier of people. So this could be people who are at college with you, or at school with you, at university with you, or work colleagues. So think about your own networks, about who's around you that actually that you see on a regular basis, and they kind of share your values and you're really interested on them. And then I have one where I'm thinking about people that I'm connected to on social media, for instance. And then you can have another ring about people that you may know through other people. These rings can go as far as you want. You could have as many rings as you want. So for me, if I think about that, actually, I need to speak to an American politician, how am I going to go about that? So if I think about my immediate family, my close contacts, they may not know anybody within that network. They may not know any American politicians, for instance. People that work with me at work may know somebody, but they may not always have the contacts. They may not know how to go about those things. But when you're thinking about from the social media, or if I think about my network, so I would have an extra ring, and social media would be my last ring. So the ring after my work colleagues, I would think about people who are connected to me through the UN, or connected to me with OSCE or international organizations, or some of the politicians that I may know in the UK. So for me, I'm connected to Karen Pierce or other people like that who were our UK ambassador to the US. And actually, I've worked with her when she was at the UN. So actually, I have her contact. So actually, if I was to think about one of my tiers and I needed to be connected to somebody in the American embassy, I would sort of jump over lots of people and I would go to my tier of people who I worked with in the NGO sector, or somebody that I knew through my network to help me to connect. So when you're interested in a course, think about other people around you and think, how can they help you? Are you actually connected to the right people? So that's the kind of question that I would like you to think about, if that's okay for a moment. And then really build on this. So all the people that you're meeting on this event and connecting with, look at those people as well and build networks and connections. So next slide, please. So for me, when you meet official staff, you have to do a little bit of planning and really think about this, because actually we only get one chance sometimes to make that first impression. So it's really important that we do a little bit of planning and really think about, when we're having meetings, how can I engage with you? How can I really make the most of those 15, 20 minutes or half an hour that I may have with somebody in that position of power or privilege that you would like to have? So think about actually about what makes it a successful meeting, and why do you want to meet with this maker or change agent. Think about the office that they're in. Think about, like, be very clear when you're writing an email. Think about what you want to do. Sometimes I've seen young people follow somebody because they're trending on social media, but actually they don't have your interest. You don't know much about them apart from you saw them trending on social media. So what I would say is really go in and have a look around and do some searching on social media, online, and look at the company, see what do they stand for, what are they interested in at this moment in time, and really, really dig deep into this. Look at their website, see if they had published anything, look at their LinkedIn, look at their work history to show you where they may have worked and you may have an interest. So it's really important when we meet somebody that we are interested and we've done our research and interest into that politician or member of parliament, whoever you would like to meet. And then look at the aims and objectives of that company. Look at their mission statements. Look at what are they interested in? What is it that they really want to go through? What is it that they want you to share that you have an interest in? So it's really important. Sometimes they may have a policy on anti-trafficking. So for me, that's something I'm interested in. So that would be a talking point for me to say to them, oh, I see that you are kind of really looking at tackling modern slavery or something that I'm really interested in. So really think about shared interest and shared values when you do that. So when you're identifying an MP or anyone that you want to contact, think about it, because actually your local member of parliament or the person that you're connected to may not be local to you. So I always say to everybody, think globally, but act locally. It's really important so that we are aligning and contacting the right politician or policy maker, because actually sometimes what we do, you may go to your local MP to help you, but actually they're not interested in the cause that you've listed earlier. So if you're interested in violence against women, you may want to contact Jess Phillips, who lives in Birmingham, but actually you're not in Birmingham. So think about the politicians, look at what they're working and see are they the right person that you need to connect with, because it's really important, because sometimes we waste a lot of times, we get a lot of knockbacks, and then we kind of get deflated and not interested. So it is about being consistent and really trying to make a difference. Next slide, please. So when you do get that appointment, really state the purpose for your visit and for your meeting. Call the office to say who you are, what you want, meet in person, virtually, and what issue that you will be discussing. So it's really important that you write a really important email or a letter that you're sending that actually is very clear why you want to do that. Officers are eager to hear from people. They want to know what's going on in the community. They want to know what the issues are in their cities. So for me, really do a little bit of research, then talk to that person about what you want to do. And time is really precious for a lot of people that are really busy. So when you've done that bit of research, it shows that actually you're really interested. You're really there to make a difference. So the policymaker may not be available at the time that you want to. So work with their assistants or their staff to look at their calendar and work around it. You may think I need to see Mandy Sanghera today, but Mandy Sanghera is flying to Helsinki tomorrow. So Mandy's not back until Monday. So it's not going to work. So really think about those things and think, how do I plan that meeting? And sometimes things will change at short notice. Just be gracious, be kind, and say, well, look, actually, I'm really sorry that, this didn't work out, or they write to you and just say, that's okay, but can I please book in another appointment? Because sometimes things will come up and things will change for people in positions of power. They may get pulled into a cabinet meeting or something may come up. So also then show to them why you are interested in. So for me, if I was to meet with Jess Phillips, for instance, I would say, well, look, I have a real interest in violence against women. I saw that this is on your portfolio. I'm one of the founders of the Forced Marriage Unit, something that I'm really interested in. And I really want you to think about, how can I collaborate and work with you? How can I support you? Could I volunteer with you on your next campaign? Is there an opportunity for me to come and shadow you? So think about things that don't cost money, but actually might give you access to them. Next slide, please. These were just a tip that I found online and I've used myself many times over the years, and about top tips about how to engage. Be very clear about the language, be very impactful, do the researching, and always start early with building a relationship with policymakers. And, some of my relationships with people are over 3 decades old. Politicians sometimes move on, but actually they will connect you to other people in their parties. And also, one of the things that I will say to young people is think like a policymaker yourself. Think actually, what is this person going to be like? And kind of be very clear and think actually how I want to be like that. And so if I was to think about policy, let's think about change. So if we think about climate change, for instance, and is something that you're interested in, for instance, and then you could just say that actually, if I was to do this, I've now become vegetarian, I'm watching my carbon footprint, I'm doing all these things to really address like climate justice. So really start thinking how you think that they may think as well. And also, it's really important to engage with policymakers. So don't just engage on that one meeting. Follow up with an email to just say, it was lovely to meet you. Thank you for this experience of shadowing you. I hope that we could work again in the future. I would love for other opportunities. So never close the door after one meeting, because you wouldn't do that in any of your friendship groups. You wouldn't do that when you meet people at school and college. So really think about actually how to actively engage and maintain those relationships and making that lasting impact and across like different departments. So sometimes you may be connected to a politician, but actually you now realize that you're interested in other things and actually they may be able to connect you. It comes back to building that network. So think about your circle. So how can they connect you to really build on your your network and help you to find your cause? Next slide, please. And again, some of the things that I think people make a lot of mistakes. So for me, I get a lot of requests on LinkedIn. From lots of people. And they'll say to me, I need this and I want this. And I kind of look at it because I have people manage my social media for me. And I kind of think, okay, it's not very clear what they want. Sometimes people will say, well, I want money. And I'll think, okay, what for? What is it that you're interested in? So be very clear about what you want. So one of the tips that I have always said to young people, so I did an event through the pandemic online with lots of young people who kind of like were not able to have that whole experience of being at university because the pandemic really wasn't nice for people. And they kind of were struggling to maintain relationships and build networks. So for me, one of the things that I realized was that you look at how do I engage with people? How can I really make that difference? So for me, avoid jargon and stop using complex words and things. Sometimes we use words that we don't even know what they mean and we think we're going to sound clever. People will see through that and people will see that actually you haven't really done research. You're just using buzzwords. So it's really important that we're not just using buzzwords. Really stick to the agenda and have a list of key points. So when you go for any kind of interview, give examples and think about something. So you may not have had much work experience, but you may have volunteered. You may have been a part of university groups or networks at school, or you may have done things in your local community, and talk about those things. It's really important to show that you have that. And sometimes what I would also say to young people is that actually, when you're meeting people, keep an eye on the news, look at the recommendations on things that are happening on their Twitter accounts. What evidence have you selected? See what is going on. One of the things that I did over 30 years ago was actually get involved in all party groups. And actually, I was able to really work with government ministers and politicians from across all parties, the Labour Party, the Conservatives, the Lib Dems, and everybody, to talk about issues that were really important to me. And they're really good way to get on a stepping stone within to connect with politicians. So it's really important that we sort of look at what opportunities are out there. And if you're a little bit nervous and you're not so confident at speaking, I would say that maybe practice what you want to say. Practice at home with friends, siblings, or family, and look at personal stories. So if you were talking about, the LGBT community or whatever it is, show that you have knowledge and an expertise and an understanding. Tell a story about yourself that they may find interesting. And if you're in a meeting with a team or a partner, have a one-to-one plan and have an order. So if I was going into a team and I know that I'm meeting lots of people, I would do a little bit of research. I would have a little bit of a structure that actually I'm going to ask so Tom Smith first, and then I'm going to Betty, then I'm going to Mandy, then I'm going back to Jack, and these are the kind of questions. So always plan ahead and have a little list in your hand and kind of ready, or have it on a piece of paper so you know how you want to organize these meetings. It's really important how you do that. When you do that, especially with an order, because sometimes people will hijack your meeting and talk about different things and throw you off track. So it's really important that you are planning and thinking ahead and not going to go off track, and you're able to bring the topic back. Stick to the agenda. Thank you. Next slide. So again, some key tactics of like influencing policy, again, like direct communication, and look at like lobbying, looking at face-to-face meetings and looking at campaigns. So actually, if you have gone out on a protest, for instance, you may have gone out, whatever you may have done, online campaigning or whatever, think about other people that are there, build them into your network, bring them into your connections. It's really important that you're thinking about how do we do that. And then also look at like providing expertise and looking at supporting, doing research, looking at data, looking at the real issues. So what I would say is if you have some knowledge or you have some proof, it's really important to provide that evidence and that data, because it's really important. Sometimes people don't do that. And I would say to you to really provide to say, well, actually, we've seen an increase of violence against women in the South Asian community. And actually, this is my data. I've seen, through South All Black Sisters, actually, they've seen a real increase of like by 20%. And this is the genders and this is the criteria that the ethnicities of women that they've been supporting. So really think about that. Look at like drafting one-to-one, looking at like some of the things on a practical note. How can you do things? Think about languages, thinking about amendments, looking at things that are going on, and look at shadowing opportunities and sort of make sure that you understand how to do that. And like coalition building and building your network again and assembling like diverse organization support, shared objectives, and always find things like that are going to be in common to help them to achieve what they want to do. Next slide, please. So again, like for me, some of the things that I've found really useful is I've got involved in campaigns and involved with charities and really looked at how do I find a way to gain access to potential influencers and things like that. And I've been very lucky to travel around the world and meet with a lot of people to really make that difference. And I've been able to go to places like the World Economic Forum that may not always be interested in topics that I am, but however, it has all the right people at the right events, and it's about using those platforms to raise awareness and really talking about issues. So, for instance, when there was a Nasser Amini murder in Iran, I took 4 women from Iran with me to the World Economic Forum and we talked about women's rights. I moderated the panel. It was important to hear from real women and they shared their experiences and their knowledge. And it was really impactful. And people who were at the decision making, the politicians and the decision makers, wanted to know what else could they do to help me. So sometimes it's about you're given an opportunity. How can we build on it? How can we gain on it? And how can we find common ground to actually influence policy and proceed there? So for me, some of the other things that I have seen is that I've been very lucky to travel and really engage with real politicians around the world. I'm off to G20 in South Africa. And actually, we know that there are real issues in South Africa at the moment where violence against women is so rampant. So for me, when I'm going to India or to other countries, I look at what those real issues are there, and I reach out and connect with their politicians to see would they be willing to meet me. And we look at having a conversation around how can we engage and address those issues. Next slide, please. Sorry. Um, and yeah. So for me, I'm thinking about my own journey where I started as a young person like yourselves. And I, first of all, joined all party groups on disability, violence against women. And it was really an interesting place for me to really learn about things. I joined a local UNA, so they are like UN associations of the UK, and joined them to sort of be able to see how did the UN work and how can I engage with different people. I also volunteered a lot and I became a trustee and a patron for lots of charities. And by being involved in these things, it actually really helped me to build my network and connections around the world and really engage with people on a big level and really develop the way that I wanted to go and on my journey as a career. And I've had a great journey. Next slide, please. And I've realized that I have a lot of privilege and I've been incredibly lucky to sort of travel around the world, speak at the House of Representatives, the most powerful house on the planet in America, to work at the World Economic Forum, speak at the General Assembly at the UN. And I do a lot in tech and looking at addressing issues and looking at how do I engage with technology and work with NASA and do hackathons with young people around the world, the European Parliament, the House of Commons. But actually, what my secret to success is that actually I'm willing to say yes. I use my platforms to raise awareness of issues that are really important to me. And I'm not scared of rejection, because if one door closes, that door was not for me, but something else may come through for me that actually was better for me. And I always look at actually how can I use these platforms and these places to really make a difference. And some of the things that I do, I take a lot of young people with me. So this year in March, I was in at the UN for CSW, the status of women. And actually, I ended up going over to Washington. I was invited to meet some of the new politicians that had been elected, because obviously America had their elections, and I wanted to know who the people were. And I took 4 groups of young people who were activists and campaigners. And this is what it's about for me, to give the next generation a seat at the table. It's really important for people like myself that once you've smashed that glass ceiling, concrete ceiling, or whatever it may be for you, that you can see it, is that actually it becomes a floor for the next generation. I'm sort of so passionate, I'm really passionate about actually sending the elevator down and really bringing people in, and not just being a mentor or a, but I'm actually a sponsor and making sure people are sitting next to me and really giving us a chance to talk about issues that are important. I know that you've met from so many amazing people through this program, and you will meet other people as well. And it's really important that you reach out and connect and send LinkedIn requests and connect with these women that are supporting you on causes that you're interested in and topics that you're interested in. So for me, I want you to think about, like, I'm interested in this course. This is what I would like to do. And this is how I would like to go forward. And don't be so fearful about rejection or failure. Failure is a part of success. And I've learnt some of the most amazing lessons when I failed, when things have not gone right for me. And I always believe that things fall into place when they're all a mess. And I've also realized that I have a lot of privilege, and actually it's really important to pay it forward by creating real opportunities, taking young people along, and also looking at things that are interesting for young people. So I do a lot of hackathons, and actually I've done hacks in over 144 countries. And what I've done with those hackathons is, or game jams, is look at the issues that are affecting people: climate, violence against women, healthcare, education. These are issues affecting young people all around the world. And I bring people together to look for solutions. and we do ideathons where you will tell me, actually, I think I can fix that problem today, and this is what I would like to do. So for me, I really do believe in like creating real opportunities and creating platforms and spaces for young people to really be able to have these conversations and have the opportunity to really develop their skills and be put on platforms with me to come along, whether I go to the UN or whether I go to the European Parliament or the House of Lords or Commons in the UK, that actually young people are coming with me to really talk and build their network and build their connections. Because for me, it's about passing on the baton and making sure that no one is left behind. And it's really important that when we meet people, that we are our authentic self. And I think that that has been a secret to success for me on a personal level. Sometimes for a lot of people, they want to be everything to everybody and they're not true to themselves. And people will see through that. I rather deal with somebody who would say to me, Mandy, I'm dyslexic, I can't deal with that, I can't read that properly. I can support you and put in support to help you. At least that person is being honest and being authentic. So I do just wanted to touch upon that actually, that when you're meeting politicians, policymakers, be true to yourself, be authentic. If you don't know something, say that you don't know something, but you're there to learn. You won't know everything. I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn and have difficult conversations and be willing to learn from different people at all times. I don't know if people have a chance to ask questions or they would like to ask questions, or is that an option here on this event today? Is there any questions? Because I feel like I've just spoken at you at pace, really.
Yes. Just give me a moment. So we do
Thank
have
you.
the option, and thank you so much, Mandy. And we do have the option to either for the participants to ask questions.
Yeah.
Let me see here. And we can also give the floor to anyone who wants to ask it with voice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I can maybe start with the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I've had some opportunities to meet policymakers in my in Albania here where I'm at. It's always
Okay.
a very difficult situation, I would say, from my part, being a young professional and not being very well known or having had that experience before. How do you get the courage to understand that you're essentially speaking with someone who is employed
Okay.
solve your issues, but like
Yeah.
you have to understand that raise your voice,
Yeah.
make your comments and issues known, and especially coming from like a young person's perspective, how do we get that type of
Yeah.
courage, I would.
Good. Okay. I'm coming to Albania actually in October to an event actually,
Welcome.
so we'll connect
We'll
and you
connect
can
for
come
sure.
along too. I'll invite you and connect you to people while I'm here. So for me, one of the things is that actually fear is only what I learned when I was 21 is that fear is only real in my head, and outside my head it doesn't exist. That's the first thing I did, and I did something crazy, but I don't want you all to copy me to jump out of a parachute jump and or do a bungee jump. You don't need to do those things. But however, I realized that fear was outside, in me, and actually people don't see this. So for me, I think I look at people and sort of think, actually, do you know what, Mandy, I'm really interested in the work that you're doing around violence against women. And actually, in Albania, where I am, violence against women is really rampant, and actually women don't always access the support because they are fear of like not being able to manage on their own. But that is a global problem. So we could look at, say to you, have you looked at this organization that lives near you, and actually have you connected with them? Look at different ways of having conversations. And I think that what I would say is do your research, look at finding common ground with people, and just be yourself. if you don't know something, say to them, I want to learn from you. I'm happy to have this conversation with you because that is what's really important. And I think, it's really important. And I do know that I have lots of women around me, feminists and campaigners, sometimes don't want to give the next generation a seat at the table. And I don't, their own fears and their own insecurities. For me, I always believe that my cup is so overflowing that I have to tip it forward to bring in new opportunities and experiences into my life. And that is about having an open mindset. And sometimes some people are so scared to connect people to their connections because, and one thing I will tell you is you will have a different relationship to me than, say, Jess Phillips or somebody else will have with me. You will build your own relationship. Don't base your relationship and your experiences on what somebody else has done, because I will have different relationships with different people at different times, and how I get on with you will be different to how I get on with Tom Smith. So it is about not basing things on what somebody else may be doing. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And that comes, I don't know if you're aware that there is some sort of discrimination in Albania against female politicians,
Yes.
women who do that work. They're either expected to be involved in girls' human rights or women's rights, or they're expected to be there just for quota reasons. But I do understand that it's a valid point to not go there and just take the comments from others, but focus on the experience that you have with that person.
And I think it's also about kind of breaking down those barriers. It's really important because actually in the UK, women are still paid 24% less than men for the same job. So in Britain, we have those same challenges where women are not treated equally. And we're going around the world talking about, oh, we're doing all these things great, but actually we haven't got our own house in order. And there are real issues. Sometimes women may go out to have a child and not get the same opportunities back in the workplace. And sometimes women are in politics, and like you're saying, it's a tick exercise, and actually their opinions are not always counted or they're not always respected and being valued. And I think what you have to do is just keep building on being assertive. And this will come with time, because actually, when I look at myself 35 years ago, when people wouldn't answer me back, I used to take things personal and think, oh my God, they don't like me because I'm a woman, or they don't like me because I'm a woman of color. That wasn't the case. They needed to be educated. They needed to be taught that actually, do you know what? I have these knowledges and I have this expertise and I have this knowledge. You need to respect me and also recognize what I do as well. So it's really important that we kind of show our worth to people as well. But I know that it's hard and not always accepted. But, all we can do is take small steps in the right direction.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
do
you.
have one comment,
Yeah.
and it says, how do you get to speak at events such as the UN General Assembly or the House as representatives, and how is it all funded?
Okay, that's a really good question. So one thing I will say to you is very difficult. Sometimes advocacy, campaigning, working in the charity sector doesn't pay very well. So I need that to be very clear to people. I have multiple streams of funding. So I have real estate that gives me income. I take on projects for governments and different organizations. I do a lot of consultancy. I do mentoring. And then I do a part of my life is delivering keynote speeches. And it's about being linked to the right places to be able to be given those opportunities. So I would say in the last 20 years, things have changed. 15 years at the beginning of my journey, I was lucky if I ever got in a newspaper once a year, or I got on the radio twice a year to talk about issues that I was in. So I think that there is a power of social media and having presence on social media. Think about your LinkedIn as well. So if you all want to, feel free to connect if you want to, or check out my LinkedIn. You will see that my LinkedIn has a picture of me speaking at the House of Representatives. It has a picture of me at NASA, at the World Economic Forum, or at the UN. And what that does is if somebody was searching for a keynote speech around human rights or looking at something, or Google Mandy, it brings up that and it shows that you're consistent. So I've not just been to the UN once, I've been many times over the years, and I'm an advisor and a campaigner, and I've been in sort of like an ambassador for the UN for many years. So if you could see that shows you on your first impressions that I think the first picture's not turned up. I don't know why, but there is a picture, there should be, me speaking at the House of Representatives. But however, this then just shows you some of your top skills. Think about some of the things that you're doing, and it really helps you. So if you were looking for somebody who was a keynote speaker or something like that, this really helps you. Then it's just your first impression. So when somebody's searching for you, are you going to show me your LinkedIn page now?
Yes, mine is more, it just says a human and my
Yeah.
place of work.
Yeah. Okay. But if you go back, at least I'm impressed with you, because actually one thing that you have done, if you go back to yours for one moment, is that you got a beautiful picture of yourself there, Ivana. And however, like you've got something. So that shows you, like, think like a girl. So actually, it shows me that you're interested in women's rights. It's showing me something about you. A lot of people keep that banner blank and it's a blue banner. So put something that you're interested in. If you've been involved in workshops or campaigning and you have pictures from this event, build that up, send a connection to somebody and just say, actually, do you know what? I need to send a message to somebody and just say, look, actually, Mandy Sanghera, I really like some of the things that you've done. I really like some of the things that you've done, like speaking. Could I have 15 minutes of your time? I would probably say, yeah, let's book a Zoom call, 15 minutes. If you said I want an hour, I'd probably say, look, I'm really busy. You need to reschedule in my diary. So think about little wins. So I would say that I've been very authentic and very straight shooting. I've always found my own causes that I'm interested in, and people will sort of come to me and say, actually, Mandy, I really like what you're about. I really like what you've done. Could you come and speak? Can you come and do this for us? And I will always do that. So I will say a lot of the talks that I do voluntary because I'm really passionate about those courses. However, there are places where I will speak and I get paid to speak. When you go to the UN, sadly, they don't pay you to speak. But, there are opportunities for you to come in and get involved with your groups. So in March, there's something called CSW, is Status of Women, and there's a link to join online. So build the network, and actually there's about 20,000 women and organizations on an app. By registering and joining, you will be connected to organizations, and there'll be about I would say half of the women, about 12 to 15,000 of them, will turn up at the UN throughout 14 days. So you really do get to connect and build your network with lots of people. So there are always opportunities, because actually when you meet these people and say, well, actually, do you know what? I've got a real interest in Albania, because Albania comes there. Albanian UN women are there represented talking about the issues that you're interested in. So what I would say to you is to reach out to them to say, look, I would love the opportunity to go to CSW. You have to fund it yourself, but actually for them to give you that opportunity to say, would it be possible for me to maybe speak when you do your event and share my own experience of some of the work that I'm doing? They have a right to say no. You may be surprised that they may say yes to you as well.
Wow. And you gave me a thought because I don't know if you've been also we haven't been starting promoting a lot, but Mindy, what we are doing as an organization, we are launching this Make February Girls Human Rights Month campaign. And
Yeah,
a lot of we're now working on the strategy, and lobbying is one part. And
yeah.
then calling UN women and asking UN entities to affirm this as a campaign is also one of the pillars. And we've been brainstorming a lot on what would
So
be
what I can do is everybody here on this call from the UK or from across the globe, just so I know.
from different, I think, mixed, but we have mostly from abroad, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, if people let me know. So, one of the things I will say to you, most countries have a UN association.
Mhm.
So, it's like a chapter. It's a good place to join. And for young people, it's often free or 5, 10 euros or something. It's not a lot. And actually join to build that, to learn about lobbying. And it gives you access to things. They will have UN events where people from the UN will be coming, and it helps you to build your network.
Mhm.
If people are interested to attend CSW, I'm happy to share the links when that is open for registration. So, one of the other things that I would say to you is your organization to do an event during that CSW. You can even do them online. You don't have to go to the UN in person.
Okay.
So you could do events during CSW under the umbrella of CSW, and that will raise the awareness of your organizations as of individuals as well. So this is about really coming back to that circle at the beginning to build your network and your connections. Because I know that I'm in a very unique position compared to a lot of people, that some people will just get to the UN and that's it. And I've been incredibly grateful to God, and I'm very lucky. Like I've been at Amnesty International, I've been, to the European Parliament, and I'm off to OSCE to Helsinki tomorrow, meeting Zelensky's coming on Zoom and things like that. And Antonio from the UN will also be joining us. So, what it is, there's a lot of things that happen. And actually, it's about looking at how do we break that barrier. And I think if people would like a session to look at how can they navigate those spaces, I'm happy to come back and talk about those. So I think what I would say to you, look at what's happening in your own country. See if there are chapters locally, like a local UN Women or a UNA office in your area, in your country. Reach out to see what else is happening. See if there are political events in your country or campaigns happening and getting involved in those. Look at NGOs that may be CSW, going to CSW who may be ECOSOF registered, and to see if they would be willing to help you to get a free badge for 28 days while you're in the UN, to give you that experience. Sometimes people are too scared to ask. So one of the things I will tell you, like if I was doing an event, I'm connected to a lot of airlines and I may need to fly somebody in, and I would say to them, could you mind being my headline sponsor and fly somebody into the UK to speak at my conference? If you look at your flight ticket is probably about £100. The rest is all taxes. If you ever look at your flight ticket, it's probably about €200, and the 500 extra euros is all the tax. So for an airline, it's only going to cost them 100, £200. The rest is in tax, and they can write that off as a charity, and they'll do that. There's a lot of hotel chains that have empty rooms that are willing to give away venues for you to do events for free. You could ask them to come along and be a sponsor, and you can raise awareness. I do hackathons and I reach out to Google, Microsoft, and do events on a Saturday and a Sunday because I know they're closed. So they open it up. I may find a sponsor to say, do you mind putting on some food? And Subways or somebody will put me on some platters to help the young people. And actually, they're building their networks and their connections. And sometimes people are not thinking, because if somebody comes to you and says, I need £10,000 to do an event, you may not get it. But if you think more creatively, think outside of the box. Write a list. What is it that I need? What do I want? How can I get that a different way? Because people, and I'll give you the example, I don't have a private jet. Just let me just tell you that. However, I had friends that had private jets. So when I evacuated out of Afghanistan, I took out over 400 young people out of Afghanistan. I spoke to the people that I knew at the World Economic Forum who were flying in on private jets. And I said to them, I've got these young people, I need to get them out and their life, I need to save their lives. They said, what do you need? I said, oh, I wish I could have a plane to help me to get people out. And they said, oh, yeah, we've got a plane. I was like, oh, really? And they gave me a plane. And I was like, thank you. And they took the planes to Dubai, to Saudi, Kuwait, and Bahrain. And we were lifting people and putting them onto other flights, and to Albania as well, because Albania was another place where we brought a lot of Afghans to be processed. So for me, sometimes it's not what you want, it's actually how you ask. And sometimes if you take a tip away, think about what it is that I want, And how can I get it? Think creatively and really think about like something differently. I can see more questions are coming in.
Um,
So
no, it's like just take the chance, right?
yeah.
And you never know.
What's
And
the worst that somebody could say?
no,
No. And if you don't see them again, you're not going to die of embarrassment. You think, okay, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
there is a question. Do you attend
Go.
OSCE on behalf of any nonprofits, or do you do it only for yourself?
Okay, so I'm representing the UK, and also there's a charity that I'm an ambassador for called Trafficking America Task Force as well. So I'm going to Helsinki tomorrow. It's the 50th anniversary of the Helsinki, the OSCE around human trafficking. So obviously I do a lot. I use technology to really tackle issues around like human trafficking. And again, I was invited to come along and attend. And sometimes these things were by invitation only sometimes, but sometimes there are forums that are UN conferences that are open to the public. If you register under a charity, you can get registered and access things. So what I would say is keep an eye out on social media, look at things that are going on and see what else is going on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, okay. What did you do to make February Girls Human Rights Month to have it declared by the UN? This is from our
So for
community.
me, yeah. So for me, I've been campaigning on Afghan women's rights a lot over the last 5 years. And to me, a lot of young women cannot go to school. A lot of girls don't have a right. They're forced into child marriages in Africa and Asia. So for me, I actually advocate and I take young people with me to come and tell their life experiences and their stories. If I'm talking about FGM, I haven't gone through FGM. I haven't experienced forced marriage. So, however, I will bring people to tell their stories. And I think those things are more powerful. So when you're talking to policymakers, for me, the secret to success has not been about myself, it's about raising awareness of the cause. I'm not bigger than the cause. And you will see a lot of campaigners. One of the secrets to success of being around for 35 years, got wrinkles to prove it now, is that actually I focused on the cause. I gave other people an opportunity to tell their truth. I have never hijacked a space for somebody else's work. And I've never taken the space of a survivor because it's not right. It's important that we help people and raise awareness of those issues and make sure that so I come in as the expert. I'm not the victim. I'm not the person that's gone through the abuse, but actually I have this understanding. So I think it's about staying in your lane and being very true to yourself and having those conversations and doing that.
Okay. Um, does anyone wants to ask a
One
question?
last question, because I think you've got a workshop to do as well, haven't you? Bless you.
Yes. One last question. If anyone wants to do it, to raise the hand, just please let me know. We're good.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for all your insights and for your tips. It has been a great session. Thank you to everyone who attended. I'm going to share briefly before Mandy goes. I'm going to share her, like Mandy can also share the presentation with
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
perfect. I'm going to share on, and for everyone who does not have access to the Mighty Network yet, please let me know. So I'm going to share with you where you can find the information for the exercise. So here on the advocacy program, I've just posted the PowerPoint presentation and also the exercise. So we will leave you around 15 minutes. So at 5:15, we have to jump in online here. And we would like a one-page policy brief. And you can use this information here on how to do it. So you choose a key girls' rights issue, and it can be in one of these. You might do a research, lower it if you need. And it can also be what you know, what you've learned from, especially if you're joining us for the Scholars Program and if you've known what's happening around the world, and if like for any of the specific issues, and then structure like this. You do a title, an executive summary, 2-3 sentences, the problem, why it matters, policy recommendation, and call to action. We look forward to like going through what Mandy said on the tips on understanding who is our policymaker, how are we pitching this idea to them, and what are we asking them to do to make a change.
Yeah.
Mandy,
And think simply, I just think last tip is think something simple. So if you're thinking about period poverty, for instance, like menstruation, actually some people may not be able to buy such products, but actually sometimes employers and companies could actually buy those and put them in the ladies' toilets to just be a campaign that actually we're going to do that in February. So sometimes you don't have to be so big about things, and it's actually just being creative and thinking outside of the box is my last tip.
perfect. Thank you so much, Mandy. We're gonna let you go. I'll thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for all your time and for
Thank you. Sorry about the tech issues, guys.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, but
very,
thank
very
you.
sorry. Very
Thank
sorry.
you.
It was my issue.
Yeah.
Okay, for everyone, please do send the one pitch document on my email, admin@ghrh.org. I'm gonna also put it here on the comment, and we'll go back here online at 14:20. So in 15 minutes. And we're going to go on a roll call to everyone who is attending, and I'm going to allow to talk, and we go through the exercise. Thank you so much. I hope you found the lecture interesting. For if anyone has a question, I'm here. Just drop it on the comment section. Thank you.